Good afternoon, Canes fans. Very special edition of the Canes Insight Podcast right now. As five-star basketball player Shelton Henderson has committed to the Miami Hurricanes. We're going live right now. This just broke in the last 5 minutes here. Something that we mentioned a few days ago. Miami was the major favorite here. Jay Lucas, big-time ties to Henderson. Same high school as him back in Texas, in Houston area, Bel Air High School. And this is a guy who was signed with the Duke Blue Devils, was released from his letter of intent in the last week now, and Miami and Jay Lucas get this job done. Already one of the top transfer portal classes in the country, and now securing another this is a top 15 type, top 20 type player here, D-Money, and Dante Allen already in the fold, a top 40 type player. So this right here, though, to me, is the headliner for everything Jay Lucas has done.
Yeah, we saw it in the first press conference, Pete. What did Jay Lucas say? Defense, defense, defense. And you land not only one of the top players in the country, but one of the top two-way players in the country. Someone who's physically ready to guard ACC wings. Someone who, from everything you see, mentally is exactly where you want him to be. Obviously a Duke commit, so you know he's vetted character-wise. Reminds me a ton, and we'll play some highlights here from some of the stuff he's done against the highest levels of AAU ball. He reminds me a ton of Justice Winslow, another Houston kid who was committed to Duke, went to Duke. The difference I would say between the two is based on what I've seen in the highlights, and I see some extended, 30-minute type highlights. The finishing, I give the edge to Henderson just because he got stronger hands.
Yeah, I think this is a guy who we'll play the clips now in a second, but mentality-wise, he's a dog on the court, something that Miami's been missing these last couple years. When you lose guys like Zay Wong, Jordan Miller, just the mentality they're bringing to the floor. And again, you're taking a guy from Duke. Obviously, this was all Jay Lucas right here. This was the word as soon as he was announced as Miami's coach from the Duke boards was he's following Jay Lucas. There wasn't much hope that he would be sticking with that class. And so to me, you talk about Jay Lucas as a recruiter. That was the main thing that we've all said about him coming in here. He's proven that without a doubt. Got to coach these games now. Got to put this team together, and everything's got to gel. But I think this could be one of the pieces that brings this team together. Yes, he's a true freshman coming in. We were excited about Jaleel Bethia last year, it didn't work out for him at Miami, but I think from a physical standpoint, this guy is one of the most imposing, prospects in the country, and someone who I don't think that adjustment level is going to be very high from the physicality standpoint of the game. Now, offensively, want to see him continue to add to his bag, but he can be an initiator for offense, D. I think this is a guy who is not a point guard, but he can handle the ball, like you've mentioned. I think his playmaking ability is really good as well.
Yeah, first of all, like and subscribe to this show. We just recorded our daily live, then we get instant reaction. Me and Pete have been sick the whole day, so there's no days off, no moment off. If it happens in hurricane, football, basketball, baseball, anything else, you will hear about it on this show, so like and subscribe. But yeah, Pete, that was my biggest takeaway. I saw pictures of him when he was committed to Duke, right? I saw the size, and I read the breakdown, but until he, opened up his recruitment, I wasn't really paying attention to dive in deep. When I watched him, I was expecting like a big physical defense wing that's raw on offense. I did not expect the level of ball handling. I mean, this is a tight handle. This is someone that really is advanced to me with the ball in his hands, which is why I mentioned the Winslow comp. Again, that's a natural comp. It's something you hear a lot from people in Houston because that's where they're both from. But it's the ability to run the offense. And Winslow was at his best when he was running the offense. So I think you see that with Benjamin. The one advantage Benjamin has is he's just a better finisher for a variety of reasons. I don't think either guy's an over the rim type of player, but the hand strength and the ability to do these kind of things in the paint, I think separates him from Winslow a little bit while still retaining all of Winslow's good qualities. And then the IQ, you see it. He's a guy who loves to play, knows what he's doing out there. All his coaches give him the highest regard. So clean character, again, a Duke guy. So it's not like Duke dropped him for any reason. This is a guy they wanted, they identified, they thought could fit the culture, and certainly can fit the culture Jay Lucas is trying to build in Miami.
I'm loving it. I'm going to pull up some of these The Duke fans are already in our replies. D, I love to see this. Look at this. What a snake move by Jay Lucas. Let's go, Duke fans. We'll see you next year, baby. I'm ready. Let's go. Wow, man. This is big, man. This is big. I'm pumped, D. I'm sorry. I'm losing a little. We haven't had much excitement here with this basketball program in a couple years. Thank you, Jay Lucas.
Woo! And if you're going to play a team like Duke, you need to have the size. You need the intensity, like what Pete is showing here, what he shows on the pitch and on the court. You need guys like that. You need the physical, high effort, high intelligence players. You can't just win by having a great scorer, Nigel Pack, next to a great scorer, and Jalen Blackman next to a potentially great scorer in Bethea. You need some size. You need some toughness. You need some mental kind of approach that is going to win games. And I think that's what you get with Henderson. I've seen Marcus Smart comparisons too, just because of the ball handling, another Texas guy. So every comp you see for him, physically strong, tough, smart. That's a good company to be in for those categories.
And here's more game footage. I believe this was him against number 4 team in the country. So they were this is a big time game right here.
Yeah, this is for his high school, so this is not necessarily just AAU. I believe he finished runner-up in Texas, or his team finished runner-up, and he was like in tears at the end of the game because he's such a competitor. These are the things you really need. I'm a big believer that basketball, more so than any other sports, about intangibles. Obviously, there's only so many people that have talent to do what they need to do on the basketball court, but every player is a decision maker. So you just need smart guys. You need guys to do the right thing, that work on their game off the court, because guys can change their whole game over the course of time if they work hard. So
he plays through contact too. You did not have enough players on Miami's team who did that. And again, this is all high school level. Yes, we understand it, but he's got the build to be. Oh, look at this, finish through contact. Yeah, Trenton Breeze, man, all over this story from the beginning. And again, you surround this guy. Need to get some shooters, man. Need to add some shooters here around him. I think Chris Bell is a must land for Miami. Transfer from Syracuse, who visited last week. But yeah, man, I think this is an interesting one too, D, because from what I understand, some of these other schools that came in here late, Kentucky tried to get in the mix. They've been throwing money around left and right. Texas was trying to make. I mean, Texas mods were trying to say that they felt like they had a something to say about this one, right? That they were in this one, but Jay Lucas holds off these last minute offers, which we understand were going to be pretty significant offers. And again, this is not to throw it in people's face, but I've said this in the last couple of years. Miami has money to spend. We know what they're doing on the football side, but they have money to spend here for this basketball program. You do not land the caliber of portal guys that you've landed to this point, guys who were starters on tournament teams last year, and then you don't land a top 15 player in the country. Yeah, great relationship with Jay Lucas, but I don't care how good that relationship is. The numbers had to be pretty similar to what some of these other schools were offering. Yeah,
this player is a big time player, and it is going to cost. To me, and I don't know if this is recency bias, but I truly believe this, and this is not, Monday morning quarterback. Just my view of the player right now going in, he's the best prospect we've ever signed. I remember when we signed Darius Rice. That was obviously a great signing. He was somewhat ahead of his time as a stretch big, but there were some questions about how some of the stuff he did would translate. Lonnie Walker, super talented, obviously still in the NBA, but maybe exactly what he's best at, you didn't know. He's a guy that could shoot. He was athletic, but you didn't say this is what he will do day one. I think with Henderson, not only you have the 5-star physical traits, but just this guy's going to play D. He's going to handle the ball. He's going to make good decisions. There's more certainty, I think, in the profile going in. And I think given that he could potentially defend centers when teams go small, he's that strong. He's going to have no problem defending wings, maybe quick enough laterally to guard point guards. Such a valuable winning player in this type of era where versatility, defense, switchability is king.
And again, like I said in the beginning of the show, D, this is now with Dante Allen. I know for those who weren't on the football show earlier, D's been struggling with some with his voice.
We're battling.
Yeah, and I'm a bit under the weather as well. But I'm pumped up with this news, and I wanted to mention though, D, the Dante Allen pickup, right? Because if you're Lucas, you've got to build this roster out. in a certain type of way that you understand some of these portal guys are 1-year players, but you got to bring some guys in who can be a foundation. Now, it's way too early. I don't know how Henderson develops. He might be a one and done guy. I don't know people in his camp. I haven't paid attention to the mock draft stuff to like know where his head's at, right? But you get a Dante Allen as well, who I expect to be a multi-year type player, a developmental guy. And I'm thinking this is a nice start to a high school class here that you don't have anyone in this high school class either, because Matthew Abel was your prize guy, no longer there. You had the big man as well. So you have to rebuild that too. So 2 top 40 players in the amount of time he's been here is pretty staggering to me.
It's one of your best high school classes
ever.
And to me, again, I'm not trying to just play the result, but for what I like, and Pete, you know the type of player I like. I'm a Miami Heat fan. An Allen, a Henderson. These are winning players. These guys, their style of play is suited towards winning. It's not towards the best highlights. It's not towards the best showcase. It's about helping teams win 5-on-5 basketball games. Dante Allen, strong, smart, versatile, right? Plays both sides of the ball. Same thing as Henderson. So it's not just about who you bring in, because a lot of times when you have these transitions, it's, hey, just get talent. It's about building your culture first from the people you bring in, because it's hard to bring in people that don't fit the culture and then impose the culture from the top down. Your best players, your most talented recruits have to embody it. I think both these guys do.
Yeah, and Kyle says, need the Bosnian. Harun Zerno visited this weekend as a shooter. He's going to be visiting Villanova here this week and then be making his final decision. I was going back and forth with him. He said he was really enjoying it down here. I think now it comes to a point where he says, all right, well, this is what Miami's got. How do I see myself fitting into the plans there? But Miami needs shooters, so I think he'd be a good pickup without a doubt. We've been all over that one. Like I said, Chris Bell, I would say from Syracuse, to me, I would really think he slots in as a starting wing if he ends up coming here, because of the shooting ability that he brings to the floor and the spacing that he brings. But yeah, man, I can't help to think that obviously Jay Lucas's relationship was the driving force here, but you're a Shelton Henderson. You've got these other options, and the NIL package has to be right. The belief in the player development here has to be right. So I would think a guy like an Andrew Moran plays a part in this. This is a guy who's going to be potentially a one and done player, right? If you tell him, look, we have a guy on staff who's going to be leading our player development charge, who every year works with a top 5 picks to prep them for the draft, and you're going to have this guy at your, like, you can use this guy every day in practice, and there's a lot of value that goes into that, not only for the player, D, but remember, you're trying to convince its teams, its agencies that you're dealing with. There's a whole lot that goes into it. It's not just the player's family anymore. It's the decision makers, and a guy like Shelton Henderson's worth a lot of money, not just NIL wise, but what those future deals look like for a guy like him who potentially could get drafted high. So big stakes decisions, having a full staff, an LJ Rose that you bring in now to run player personnel with his ties to he played at Houston, he's the GM for Bahamas basketball, which is a rising, nation in terms of the game. So a lot of things. I'm just really excited about everything that Coach Lucas has done so far, man. I think that it's not like he sat there and promised anything, but when you talk to people about why this hire was made, it was because of what we're seeing so far. Talent acquisition, flipping this roster from what has been, was a mess last year and was in a terrible situation in terms of the pieces that were put together. And I think this is like I said, a cherry on top, but not done, man. You have 7 guys on the roster now, 6, 7 guys. So still have to fill some pieces in here. Would imagine another couple high school, maybe 1 or 2 more high school guys, a couple more portal players, and we'll see what happens after that.
And real quick before we get off, Bethea, we had a long discussion on whether he would start or not. I thought that usually those guys come in and start, so you just kind of have to start him. Turns out he didn't start. He's not here anymore. Neither is the coach, so it didn't work out, whatever it was. Seeing how ready he was, I'm not sure he was ready to be a starter anyways. This one right here has a feel to me from a strength IQ standpoint of an instant starter. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I do. I just wonder. I mean, because I think you have him. I think you have True Washington as shooting guard, Trey Donaldson. So those two at the 1 and 2. Henderson with those. I mean, Henderson I think physically can start, but I wonder about the shooting.
And Renau, if you put him in the mix,
and with him, and then Uday. But that's I don't see much knockdown shooting there. So I think if a Chris Bell comes with his experience and his shooting ability, I think Henderson could be like the first guy off the bench, and one of those things that like maybe Henderson's running the show with the second unit. So and he gets extended minutes with the second unit, and he'll end up getting starter minutes, I think. But then you also have a Timotei Malovich, who
forgot about him.
We're getting some depth now. I mean, it's you still got some pieces, but you've got some really interesting, versatile lineups that you could play with here, because Malovich can play the 3, he can play the 4, but I don't think he's coming in here thinking that he's going to be riding the bench. I mean,
you could also, if you want to add a lot of size, you go with Trey. You have Shelton at shooting guard, which I think he can cover all the way up and down 2 to 4, 1 to 4, maybe even 5 as a guy like Renau. So you have him at shooting guard. Then you have Timotei at small forward, the Slovakian, and then you have someone like a Bell as your power forward, and then Renau inside, and then you have Uday and True off the bench. Both guys, energy guys, kind of defense first guys, and they just give you that jolt.
Yeah, I would probably lean towards because you said Malik at what, the 4 there, or with
I have him at the 5 because remember,
I would almost say Malovich as the 4, as like the stretch 4. And Bell is more as the pure wing. So I think Malovich is bigger than
Renau then going off the bench, because last year in Indiana, that was the whole story of their season. When I really studied him close, I watched several games, and at the beginning of the year they tried to play him, and they had a rim running center similar to.
Well, listen. I think Malik's gonna start. I just think I'm talking about like a potential lineup that could be successful. And then Uday. I mean, Uday has shown what he is to this point, but let's not forget this is a former 5-star as well, who has some offensive development to go in his game, right?
Yeah,
so
that's what they got to figure out. Because again, just if you watch Indiana last year, and the name escapes me of the center they have, but they had a center that was very similar to Uday.
Mackenzie and Mbakpo, him.
Yeah, just a rim runner, defensive guy. So they try to play him together, and it just didn't work. And they really started playing better when Malik came off the bench. To your point, and they didn't play him together. Malik he was still the best scorer, but he was off the bench. So we'll see how that all plays out. But that's why they pay Jay the big bucks. These are guys, and I can see this with Malik as well, winning players, guys that care, guys that aren't just out there for stats. Obviously, they want to help the team win, but they're winning players, and they're versatile players. And when you have a lot of those guys and they have some size and strength to them, you got a shot. The shooting, I think, is the piece now that you're laser focused on.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I think I'm getting some texts from people in the basketball community. I think there's for as much as people were excited about Lucas, like the potential of the hire, people are pretty surprised at how quickly he's been able to get guys here.
Yeah,
and proven players too, man. That's the difference, man. You brought in some guys who were highly rated portal players last year, like Brandon Johnson. Schools wanted him. Jalen Blackman had a market, but
20-point scorer,
right? But they weren't coming from the same situations that these guys are coming from, right? I think these guys are coming from what you said, a big time winning situations, having been part of tournament teams.
Yeah, no, these are winning players, man. Even in Indiana, man. I mean, I think when you watch Malik, even when he was on the bench, starting, dealing with that fit issue, he was always engaged. So you like your ability to make it work when you have guys like that aren't just saying, I got to come here and score 20 and be the starting X, Y, Z.
Before we wrap things up here, just just wanted to get to there's been some obvious comments here about the boozers questions. I think after Cooper Flagg makes his decision yesterday to enter the draft, that's probably off the table. I know that I don't think it was something that was completely out of the realm of possibility before that. But I'd be pretty surprised at this point. Arab says it's hard to get guys like that, I guess, with the NIL. NIL was not going to be a problem with those guys in terms of what Miami would have been willing to do there.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on and focus on the guys that are going to really help us. And I think between Allen and Henderson, these are guys that are going to help us tremendously.
All right, Canes fans, huge news today. Second biggest pickup in terms of recruiting rankings in Canes hoops history. It only took Jay Lucas, just over a month here to get that done. So excited about the future here for this program under his watch. We're obviously going to keep you updated here at Canes Insight, like I don't think anyone else has on the basketball side. Oh, and let me mention, D, of course, the basketball coverage always brought to you by Aries Law. Check out AriesLawPA.com. This is my dad, guys. He's an attorney who specializes in estate planning. So trusts, wills, probate, all that fun stuff that you don't really want to talk about or deal with, but everyone needs it to, you got to plan your future so others don't. Protect the people and assets you value most. Plan your future. Check out AriesLawPA.com. Schedule a free consultation. Big supporter of the Canes Hoops program, man. So we're excited to see this, man. Everything that's been going on.
It's gonna be fun build up to the season, and it's gonna be fun to watch, man. We got a chance. That's all you could ask for.
All right, Canes fans, appreciate you all for tuning in today. If you guys didn't see our football stuff a little while ago, go check that show out. But we're excited about this Canes Hoops momentum, and we'll keep you updated here on Canes Insight. Hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Go Canes.
Go Canes.